Folks, take a good look at this artist rendition of a stadium in downtown Los Angeles, because that's about as good as it's going to get for a host of reasons. First of all, as some of you know who paid close attention to this issue, AEG bowed out. AEG is Anschutz Entertainment Group, which planned to build a near $2 billion stadium in downtown Los Angeles, which I think would have been excellent, an eighth wonder of the world, had they gotten a football organization to team with and the NFL to really partner with to make it happen. That didn't happen, and as AEG watched in horror, as two groups basically were put together. First of all, Stan Kroenke, who owns or at least a significant portion of the St. Louis Rams, working to build a stadium in Inglewood with a mayor and a city council that's really in lockstep with him and moving rather quickly to an eventual, one would think, conclusion. And then, of course, the Carson Stadium situation, which involves the San Diego Chargers and the Oakland Raiders. Now, here's why I don't think football is going to happen in Los Angeles. A stadium is not going to happen in Los Angeles, and I mean the Basin, and the NFL is not going to return to LA. Simply this. Take a look at these three actions, these three things that have to occur, right? At first it looked like, LA has had this embarrassment of riches of possible football organizations that were going to come into it. Maybe two organizations, two football teams, maybe three at best, right? The Rams, the Raiders, and the Chargers, all in the LA Basin, right? That's what the talk was around Oscar time when I was down there, and the radio people were crowing about this because the deal was just announced then for the Carson Stadium. Now, this is where we are. We've got the Carson situation emerging not only to be as unrealistic as I said it would be because of the whole unanswered question regarding how bonds are going to be financed for that $1.7 billion proposed stadium, but also because an organization that may very well sue the developers of Carson basically just sent a letter to the mayor of Carson for all practical purposes laying out the terms of their lawsuit without actually saying, hey, you know what, we're going to sue you. Okay? That's AEG. So then in the Stan Kroenke case, yes, they're motoring along and everything else, but there is another side to the story, and that involves the Missouri legislature and the Missouri politicos that are working really, really, really hard to build a publicly financed, retractable roof stadium in St. Louis for the Rams. And if they do that, the way the NFL works, St. Louis wins, St. Louis gets a new stadium, and they get to host a Super Bowl on top of all that. LA loses. So where do we go? We go from an apparent embarrassment of riches for LA Basin with respect to NFL teams, possibly, to where we are today already. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So you would say, how, if you're an LA fan, how could this have been avoided? I think Lee Steinberg wrote some great takes on how best to get the deal done down there, but the simple word is true cooperation, and not the kind of headbutting that we saw in the example of the late 90s attempt that was led by Michael Ovitz, and then of course competing against Ed Roski, and Lee Steinberg was involved in that too. Well, now we have competing efforts as well. No cooperation, no oneness, and it's that habit of the formation of these groups that don't want to get along, these huge egos that want to step all over each other, that consistently guarantee that big deals don't get done here in the state of California with respect to football, particularly in Southern California. Because you would say, hey, wait a minute, John York and Jed York did it in San Francisco. Yes, they did. But that was a different ball of wax. The only huge ego involved in that was, well, that's for another video. But the bottom line is they got that deal done. Barely. That stadium could have been even better. But that's another point. Back to the LA situation. I'm willing to lay a bet, a gentleman's bet, a gentleperson's bet, that this deal's not going, that what's going to happen is that Los Angeles is going to wind up with what it has right now. No NFL team at all. And that's too bad, because there is no more region in the entire world that's more deserving of NFL football than Los Angeles.